Howdy! A few people over the years have said they'd like to see me do a live feed. I don't think we're quite there yet because I do things out here that I don't want to put on camera. I'm a vile, disgusting guy when I have problems. I do like to cuss. A couple videos ago I mentioned that I've driven tractor trailers, worked in a warehouse. I failed to include that I worked in a factory for 3 years. And let me tell you, it was miserable. But it made me who I am today. Today we're marking these channels for the speed nut installation. Got my handy dandy worn out jig. Speed nuts are very forgiving. Got a lot of movement, so the holes don't have to be exact. That's pretty close. I think they're 9/16 of an inch apart, something like that. Basically, you want to just center this up here where it makes sense. So you have a speed nut at the end of each length. What I don't get right, I'll simply just re-drill once it's installed. Piece of cake. I just got to get these big holes drilled, the center hole, which is a 1/2 inch, because I have to be able to spread the walls of the frame out to a 1/2 inch. Because if it does not do that, then the speed nut won't fit. And then I really start cussing and throwing things around and just becoming a really miserable person. Those days are behind me because I'm no longer building in reverse. It's very important to mark the big hole because I get happy with my big hole drill and I want to drill them all. The biggest problem I faced with drilling the holes when they're installed on the Canopy frames was some of the frames weren't wide enough, and when I got my step drill up there, the step drill clashed with the walls of the frame, and step drills aren't meant to drill through. At that point it would be, 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch of steel. If you consider the vertical aspect of the frame, which you're essentially having to drill through. I burn out a lot of step drills, including a really nice cobalt set. If you've been with me for the beginning, I stated that I wanted to build this as a flight simulator, but I've taken more of an interest in the actual airplane at this point, just trying to recreate everything. Once I get to a point, I'll look in the dash one or in the parts catalog and I'll say, that's interesting, let's build that. So the building aspect of it, it's always been that way. The building aspect of what happens on the inside of the airplane, including all of the black boxes, the radar, the ECM, everything. I find that far more interesting than the actual airplane itself. And I think that it's tragic that the general public can't be trusted to enter the most intact example, which would be 522220, which is on display at the Air Force Museum. But I totally get it. It would be nice if somebodies that showed a profound, valid interest in the B-36 could enter on occasion. I don't know how you would vet those individuals, but I would hope that I'd qualify, but if not, another day, because there's so much going on inside these airplanes that you never get to see. So many factories that during the wartime made gun sights, but during peacetime they made baby cribs. It's not an exact example, but who knows. So I don't know if I'm actually building a sim. It would not take long for me to install some throttles into that console. That's what I made it to do. And then I got a sim. Who knows? I've mentioned in the past that my next project is going to be the XB-36. I would like to try to build the XB-36 in the same manner in which Convair did. And I think I can do it because I won't be starting with the flight deck and working out. I'll be starting with the fuselage and working in. So that'll enable me to learn how to do squash rivets. I can't promise you that it's going to be something that the FAA would consider airworthy, because I understand that there's certain lengths of rivet you have to have per thickness of material you're riveting through. I would like to be able to learn that, but at the same time, the same principle applies to, as much as I love doing this, and it might someday kill me, I don't plan to be doing this for the rest of my life. Maybe I'm impatient, or maybe that's just intelligence, but I'm not getting any younger. I'd like to build the XB-36 nose about the same. You know, of the H model here, I'm going to build from the tip of the nose to bulkhead 3.0, which is still going to be, 16 feet of airplane. That's my immediate plan. Because once we get out of the flight deck, it's just repetition. It's just make a jig for the frames, for the longerons, and for the stringers, and off I go. There won't be recreating complex shapes like the Astrodome port, the jet console, stuff like that. The XB-36 is amazing. I've done a lot of research on it, and where the modern B-36s that we're all accustomed to seeing are just that. They're more reflective of 1950s society, I guess you would say, or design, aesthetics. Whereas the XB-36 reflected World War II design. So looking inside of the XB-36 would be like looking inside of the H model here, as if it were built in World War II or before World War II, or before we became involved, because that's when it was designed. So now we got to take these. Almost got away from me. I've been drilling holes like a madman. So now we got to take this over to my trusty drill press and drill some holes.